What to use a block plane for. A block plane is used for joinery, basically. And most people don't use it for joinery, but that's what it's designed for. Okay. Now, if we're looking at this, for example, let's imagine that we're going to miter these two pieces, and and we just have this not perfect joint right there. You might think that, okay, well, I can cut this on the table saw, so I really don't need to use a block plane for that. And that may be true to some extent, but when you're working on a project like this, and you're putting these pieces together here and here, making these fit, this is where you're absolutely going to need a block plane. I don't use this plane as much as I used to. I use this one now. This is a new, this is a block plane that was built in the 90s by Stanley. This is a record plane which is built in England out of Sheffield steel, and it was a very nice plane. It's a little smaller than this one. This is a Stanley plane that's also built in England. You can see England written back here. It was built in the 90s. It is also made of Sheffield steel and is just a fine, fine tool. If you're ever looking for a good block plane, go and look in somebody's garage or basement and see if you can find one of these. They're everywhere. They're beautiful tools. Now, the other thing that you want to keep in mind is that most block planes come with a very rough bottom, and they need to be flattened. And I've flattened this with this by gluing an adhesive sandpaper to a piece of glass and then basically rubbing it back and forth until it's flat. It really makes a huge difference. But it's a tool that I use all the time. It's absolutely essential. It needs to be kept as sharp as possible. What I've done here is I've actually ground this blade to a single flat plane at 25 degrees. Now, I've used a water cool tool called the Tormek 2000, but you can use different tools. Just be careful not to burn the edge of the tool. What I want to do now is I want to put a micro bevel on the edge of that, set at 30 degrees. This is my sharpening system. Basically, I keep my tools in Tupperware boxes or Rubbermaid or whatever this is. This is my 8,000 stone, and this is my 600 stone. They're both Japanese stones. They're synthetic. What I do is I take it out. It's mounted on a wooden board. I keep it in water upside down all the time like that. This is called a Nagura stone and is sold with these stones. Now, they don't tell you that, but you need to find this stone. When you buy these Japanese stones, buy also a Nagura stone. A Nagura stone is used to actually create a slurry on the surface of the stone. Put a little, dip it in water and pull it up, and then rub it on the surface of the other stone, create a slurry, and this is what actually sharpens the edge of the tool. This is a honing guide built, it's called an Eclipse 38, and it works like this. It'll hold a chisel and it'll hold a plane blade. And basically it gives you the projection of the tool from the nose of the guide in metric. The plane iron projection to get a 30-degree angle is 38 millimeters. I mark 38 millimeters right here on the bench, just like that. Some people actually set up a little block to stop it, but you can do this whichever way works for you. I line it up with that mark, grab a screwdriver, tighten it down a little bit so it doesn't move, bring it over to the stone, and just rub it back and forth. It automatically sets the angle at 30 degrees, which will give me just a tiny little 5-degree difference between what I have there already and the end of the blade. So it's just turned slightly up off of the stone. We're going to create what's called a micro bevel, which makes the plane very sharp and very responsive. It shouldn't take very much at all. Do the back of the blade also, just very lightly, back and forth, using a figure-8 motion, like that. You can feel it sticking to it. You can still feel the burr a little bit along there, but you can start to see the micro bevel along that edge. Let's get it a little deeper. And if you feel like you need to bring a little water to the stone, grab your Nagura stone, Pull a little water out of here. Create a little more slurry, pull it back. Keep your fingers out of the way. Back and forth until you have an edge, until you reveal a tiny little edge across there. Kind of want to rock it around on the stone so you don't groove it. Come back to this side, take the burr off. Just back and forth. Just a little bit, keep it flat. You can feel that the burr is almost gone. You can see just the tiniest little edge right there. Let's just hit it a couple more times this way. This is a piece of leather from an old project, an old upholstery project. All I do is put it down, hold it down flat, and then just rub my edge on that. Sometimes it's nice to keep it in the guide while you do that. It's not absolutely necessary. You want to just drop that a little tiny bit. We'll check it and see if we can take some hair off with it right here. So you see, there's how sharp the blade needs to be. It's just like that right there. Okay, that is a sharp plane blade. Makes the block plane incredibly useful. My violin making teacher at the violin making school, we once asked him what tool he'd want on a desert island, and he said he would want to have a block plane. By the way, this is also is a number 9.5, I believe. It is not a low angle block plane. I don't like low angle block planes, but that's my own personal preference. Make sure that the writing is up and the bevel is up. This fits back on and tighten it back in. Now, one of the things you want to remember is that you always want that pressure going out on the screw. Block planes require a fair amount of adjustment, and it drives most people crazy, but it's just part of the deal. Now we'll just look at it until we see just a hair sticking up above the, not even, just so you can almost feel it. And then we're going to close it back to a fairly narrow slot. You don't want to hit the blade with it, but you want to get back there fairly close. Now you can see it's starting to come together. And you can see it just takes a few strokes to make all the difference. It's just a little bit that the saw can't get. See, there's the curl off the end grain of white oak right there. Okay. See, that's what it should look like. See, it's just those last few strokes that bring it together, and that's what the block plane excels at. To fit these joints in here, you'll have trouble cutting those on a table saw or on a bandsaw, and you'll need to come back and finish those joints up with it. The only way you'll be able to do it is with the block plane. So get one and learn how to use it.